Okay. See, in the last class we've been looking at partitioning of the table. So there'll be three ways of doing it. One is, and one more point before I go. So you don't have to get tensed about these topics. See, it's all about internal mechanisms. In the real time, it would be rare that you create a table because you will be replicating the tables from a different systems. But still, when you say learning database, you should learn about creating tables. That, okay, without knowing that doesn't make sense about learning a database. Okay. Now, so let's say you have a table and you're trying to partition it.
Unmuted. Muted.
We have three ways of doing it. One is hash, range, and round robins. When you say hash partitioning, you have content of data, and you would like to split that into equal sizes and into different servers. Let's say I have one master server and say I've got slaves. Okay, so totally in 4, and I would like to distribute my table across all the 4 servers with 4 partitions. Then I would go with what? Hash bus. So you can say partitions 4, or I can say server number. So depending on number of servers, it divides so many partitions. And when you say range, like based on certain column of a table, you can specify the values and split it up. You can go with an interval or single value, and you also have option as what? Others, like where any data which does not belong to any of the partition gets into others partition. And in yesterday we've seen you could go with year of or month of and the date. Straight away you can use date for partitioning, or you can use function month of or year of to do this range partition. And when you say round robin, this also is used to divide your data across partitions. But movement of data from one partition to one partition is not controlled by the database. It is controlled by the application who is using the table. For example, if BW is using this table, BW will control when the data should come into partition 1 and when the data should go into partition 2 or 3 or 4. That is round robin. And the column table of your cube, which is your fact table, is partitioned based on round robin. The fact table of the cube is by default partitioned with round robin with 4 partitions, partition 1, 2, and 3, and 4. And what are the data you load into the cube? It actually gets into partition number 4. And once you compress the cube, the data from partition number 4 will get into partition number 1. So it is controlled by the application. And the data what you loaded to partition number 4, if it is initial stock with inventory cube, then it gets into partition number 2. And if it is movements, stock movements, then it gets into partition number 3. And all the new data will be getting into partition number 4. And then, so whenever there's new data into the partition number 4, when you do a delta merge on the table, it has to do merging only on which partition? 4th partition. So you're only triggering merging only for the new data what is loaded to the cube instead of entire data. That's why, so performing delta merge on the fact table is not necessarily to improve performance. It is required to improve the performance of delta merge. You need to keep compressing it so that when you compress data from partition 1, we'll get into what? Partition 4, and the new data will come into what? Partition number 1. And when you do a delta merge, it does perform delta merge only for partition number 4. If you don't compress, all your data would be in which partition? 4. And that becomes huge. And when you do delta merge, it takes a lot of time. So compress, you're not compressing cube to improve performance of query. We are compressing it to improve performance of delta merge. Because even if you don't compress the cube, HANA can still handle the performance of the queries. Now, this is how you just say, and when you do round robin, you never specify any field. If you look at hash, you specify on a column. So based on the values of this column, the data is split across partitions. Even for range, you specify on which column you're specifying, like say order date or something. But even for round robin, you don't specify any column. You just say I want 4 blocks on this table. That clearly tells you that the data is not organized based on any of the data. Application will use those partitions. That's okay, boss. And there's something called multi-level partitioning. Just so when you say multi-level, so let's say I created the table like this. So I've not done any partitions. Let's say I right click on this tables folder, say what? Show table distribution. Select multi-level, right click, say what? Partition table. Let's say first I would like to go with, see if I go with number of partitions equal to number of rows, depending on number of index servers. You'll have one master index server or you can have a couple of slaves. But now here I've got only one, so I would like to explicitly control that has to be what? 4. 4. Now within that again I want what? Additional level of partition. That is called multi-level partitioning. So again, first I would like to create 4 partitions with hash. So where the data is split up equally into 4 parts and each part is put in different index server. And under each index server again I would like to do a range partitioning, date wise split up or month wise split. So I will go here and specify on which column we want. First is this is for hash partitioning, I want it on order ID. Then once order it is split across order ID, I would split for range partitioning I would like to use what? Order date with what? Let's say year, and partition number 1, let's say 2012 to let's say 2014, and I want one single partition, say 2015, and say finish. So if you go about looking at this table, first I'll have 4 partitions. You can see it here itself, or I can open this table definition, go to runtime information. You see this 4 hash, and then again you have a range partition. If you expand this, so you got partition 1, 2, 3, and 4 hash. Under each partition of hash, again you will have 3 parts. One is from 2012 to 14, 2015, and then one max, like default value. Again, 2 will have 3, 3 will have 3, and 4 will have. This is called as multi-level partitioning also. So first I've done hash partitioning where I'm splitting data equally under each index server. Now within each index server, I'm doing partitioning on the range based on the year wise. That is called as multi-level partition.
What is the use of multi-level?
You basically want to make further blocks on it. Say again, after splitting at each index server, again you would like to do range level partition. So obviously it improves your read performance.
So basically, multi-level can be used based on entities.
Means basically range can be used on the date, month, or year. Range.
But when it comes to multi-level, for example, you have 10, 15, different legal entities.
Yeah.
So
Entities means column.
each field must be very company code.
Yeah, that's what. It's a column of a table.
Yeah.
But see, there is some restrictions. If you want to go with hash partitioning, the column must be part of primary. Okay, so if you say company code is part of primary, then I can have a hash partition on it. Otherwise, no, I can't do. So it is mandatory that if you're building hash partitioning, the column must be on primary. If you have 2 columns as primary, I can build hash partitioning with the combination of both. Means if you observe, when I'm trying to create my hash partition with UI, it does enable checkbox, not the radio button. So when I say checkbox, I can go with selecting multi columns also. So if I have a table with composite key, I need to select both the columns and create hash partition. So if you want to go with company code must be part of primary key, otherwise I can't do it. Yeah. Yeah, then next is about altering the table. So suppose you already created a table, I would like to change the definition of the table. So pretty much we're able to change it by right clicking on this and say edit. Yeah. So for example, I have this table with this column. Let's say I would like to add a new column. How do I do this? Right click on this table and say what? Edit. Say I would like to add some counter integers. So I can right click on this and say what? Alter table here, or I can even activate the entire table also. Alter table. So it does it execute statement alter table so and so, add this column. So I can also add a new column from this UI like this. Apart from this, we can also use alter statements. In SQL, you use create statement to create any data definitions language statements like you want to create table, use create statement. You want to create view, anything you want, any database object you want to create, I would use create statement. But if you want to alter any of the definitions, what has already been created, I would use what? Alter. So we are focusing only on the table now. So next is altering table. How do I alter a table here? Through SQL. So altering table with UI, you know now. So you just right click on the table and say edit and then start editing, add column or remove column. You keep doing all this. But there will be something which you will not be able to do with UI. For example, I would like to change my column type, type of the table. I will not be able to do with UI. So, but you see, in SQL it does allow to do a majority of the operations. For example, I'm creating this table. Let's say I would like to do changes to all this. Okay. So let's say I have this table and I would like to add a new column to this table. So already the table has already been created. So the table is EMP for alt. I've got a table like this here. So I wanted to add a column. So you always can go with edit and then you know about adding it with UI. But same thing can be done with SQL also like this. But here we use a statement what? Alter. So when you want to create a table, I would use create. When I want to change my table, I would use alter. So alter table so and so. So the table name is qualified with the schema name. So schema name dot table. So I would like to alter this table. What alteration do you want to do? Add. And what is the column name and the date. So I would like to alter table so and so. What alteration do you want to do? I would like to add up. So add this so and so. Yeah. Yes, we can also delete a column from that also. She wants to delete. Okay, let me add and then later I'll delete. So I've done this alter statement. So should it reflect adding a new column? Edit. You would like to delete that column. So select this and say remove column. So alter table so and so drop the column. Again, I would let me add this out. So it's already added now. Again. That's about adding. So I can also write the SQL same. It was showing me the same SQL. Alter table so and so. What is it you want to do? Drop a column name. So this will drop the column out from the table. Okay, next. I would like to change, let's say I already have some column and I would like to change the definition of the column in a table. It's not about adding or removing. I have a column already, but I would like to change the data type definition, length or something. But you cannot change a column which is for data type integer to varchar or varchar to integer. cannot change complete data type set cannot be changed. Only length some from big int to smaller int or tiny int, big int you can do, but a column of type integer cannot be converted to varchar or nvarchar, not possible. Say I have a table with department number already with what is the length here? 5. So I would like to change it to length 10. So I'm saying alter table so and so. What is it you want to do? You want to alter or add or drop? Alter. What is the column name? So and so column with what data type you want? New set, new data type. What is length 10? Yeah. It does become 10. So you can alter, you can change the data types like this, but you cannot change it from varchar to integer, integer to varchar, not possible. Within the varchar, you can increase the length or something. Now here, I've got my employed as int, big int. It's already normal int, but I'm going to change it to big integer. So I can alter employed to big int. Now integer నుంచి నువ్వు varchar చేయమంటే కాదన్నట్టు. Integer లోనే varchar లోనే మార్చుకోవచ్చు. Next, see, if you see this, I just created this table without any primary key actually. Yeah, there's no primary key in this table, right? Now I would like to set this as primary key, employed as primary key. So I can also alter this statement to add a primary key. Say, add what? What is it you want to add? I would like to add a constraint as primary key. Which column is it? Employed. So you can also alter my table to add a primary key to a table where doesn't have it also. Now this is set as primary key. So now let's drop the primary key again. So you can add a primary key or you can also remove the primary key also. Okay, now primary key is gone. Okay. So now look at this alter table. I would like to preload the table. So what do you mean by preload in the sense we are setting up the preload flag. When I say preload flag, when you switch on the server, when you restart your server, all the system tables are loaded into main memory by default. All the row store tables. But columns to store tables are not loaded into main memory. And when you run the query, let's say when you run some reporting, it does not find anything in the main memory. It does read the data from the disk for the first time, then places that copy into memory and gets. Suppose there is a table with 10 columns. You are finding a query with 2 columns in it. It will not find any table in main memory initially. On the first access from the disk, it will place those 2 columns into main memory and then goes. Not in the entire table. Only those 2 columns are loaded into main memory and then gets back. But now my requirement is when I switch on the server, along with the system tables, my table must be loaded to main memory. I would like to set the preload flag to my table. So when I restart my server, along with the system tables, here my column store table also must be loaded, application table also should be loaded into main memory. That is called as, we usually need to set the preload flag. When you say preload all, it means all the columns are loaded. And when you say preload certain columns, only those 2 columns are loaded. You can, that is called as, we'll have concept of full load, partial load also. When you say partial, only certain columns of the table are loaded or entire table is loaded. Fully loaded, partial loaded, unloaded. Unloaded means nothing is there in the main memory. When I say partially loaded, only certain columns of the table are loaded into main memory. When I say fully loaded, the entire table content is loaded into main memory. All the columns are loaded. Now here I can set those preload flags. I'm not loading it. I'm only setting up the preload flag on the table, alter tables also, preload these 2 columns. Then what happens? So preload flag will be set for these 2 columns. Whenever I restart the server along with the system tables, it will also load these 2 columns of this table into main memory. That's what the preload is done. And if you really want to load physically now, we'll say load. Preload is only a flag what is set onto that column or certain columns of the table or the entire table to indicate that whenever there is a restart in the server, these tables must be, or these tables or these columns of the table must be reloaded to the main memory. That is preload. We can set it. So this only can be done with alter statement. While creating table, you cannot set the preload flag. Only with alter statement, I can set the preload flag for it. So they'll ask you in the interview, how do you set the preload flag for the table? With alter statement, you set the certain columns of the table as preload, or when is a preload all the columns. Yeah, can also do this. So you're not loading. We're only setting up the flag for it, so that it has to be loaded into main memory when it restarts. I can also use alter statement to convert the table type from column to row store to column. But I cannot do this operation in the UI. It has to be done from the SQL only. I'll say alter table so and so. What alteration do you want to alter the type as row? This is already column store table now, right? Yeah. So I'm going to change this to a row store type. See, this becomes a row store now. Row store. And you should also see the reflections in the icon here. Look at this. You see this? You see the lines horizontally, that indicates row. If you see lines vertically, then that shows column store. And sometimes you see some table with lots vertical, but lots of space in the blocks. What is it? Partitioning. When you have partition tables, you will see some slight gaps on the tables. That icon has changed. Range per month. I have this table. So I have a table where the partitions already declared on the range, saying what from Jan to June is one block, and July till July is one more block. And I would like to add one more partition to the table which has already been created. So I can use my alter statement, alter table so and so, add partition with so and so value. What is it for June, September, August? I'm adding a new. That's it. So if you look at this table, so for August dues, can we do add partition even when there is data? Yeah, we can add. Always. Okay. 2015-08 is a new partition which has been added. Suppose if I want to drop, I can still drop the top. Same thing. When you say add partition, it is about adding a partition. When you say drop partition, it's about dropping the partition. So I would like to drop the partition which is created now. Which is the table. It's already gone now, 08. Next question. So now while creating table, do we have the option of enabling auto merge or disabling auto merge? Yes or no? When you say no auto merge, means what? You've disabled auto merge. When you say auto merge, just use the word auto merge, then you enable auto merge. Let's say you already created a table where auto merge is enabled, and you see some problems that whenever I'm inserting data, it is becoming slow because it is triggering merge automatically when I'm inserting data because of the auto merge decision function being satisfied. So now I decide that I would like to alter this table by disabling that auto merge. Then I use this alter table so and so, disable auto merge. So when I disable this auto merge, what happens? Your merge doc will not take care of it, and you have to issue some SQL commands to explicitly do the merging. Create table no auto merge కావాలో వద్దని చెప్పొచ్చు. ఆల్రెడీ టేబుల్ క్రియేట్ చేసేసినావు, ఆటో మర్జ్ కావాలని create అయిన తర్వాత now you want to change your table saying I would like disable it. So disable auto merge, and now let's say I'll enable what? I'll show you that. I'll say enable auto merge, right? If you see the definition of this table, what does it say? Unload priority, include auto merge. Don't worry on this part, but look at this. Do you see this auto merge? It means on this table auto merge is enabled. Let me close this. Let me say again, disable auto merge. Do you see anything on the margin? Or yes, unload priority. ఇంకా ఆటో మార్జిన్ ఉందా? Refresh కొట్టలేదు. See now, yeah. Refresh కాలేదు. As soon as disabled, do you get it as no auto merge? So actually, while creating table itself, if you just say auto merge is enabled. And if you say no auto merge, you have disabled auto merge. Let's after the table is being created, you would like to control whether the merge should be enabled, auto merge should be enabled or not. That's how you can use with alter statement. Disable, enable auto merge. Okay.
By default, it is auto.
By default, it is auto. Yeah. You can switch it off later. Next is, and in the last class we've seen about setting up the unload priority. If you see this, what is unload priority was? There's another unload priority as what 5. What happens with unload priority? So it will have 0 to 9. The more the higher the number, it will unload the table as soon as possible, depending on the sizing of the memory. తక్కువ ఉండే ఎక్కువసేపు పెట్టుకోవాలి, తక్కువ ఉండే తొందరగా డిలీట్ చేస్తూ ఉంటుంది. So by default it takes unload priority as 5, but you can always change that unload priority. While creating table itself, you can say unload priority so and so. But let's say you already created with table with some unload priority 6 or 7, and I would like to modify it. Then I can say what? Alter table so and so and unload priority as what? 6. Table create చేసేటప్పుడే నువ్వు unload priority పలానా కాలం చెప్పొచ్చు. Priority వేరే చెప్పి క్రియేట్ చేసిన ఇప్పుడు నేను మార్చాలి ఆ priority, so I can change this out by using alter. Say unload priority, what does it say now? What is it? Unload priority 6. Like this, you can go about changing the unload priority of the table. So like this, you can leverage your alter statement. There are some alterations what you can do with UI, and there are something explicitly you can control only through SQL. So by using alter is a key statement through which you can alter any database object. Now when you say alter table, it's about altering database table. So we were looking at creating table and some options with it and altering the table. Before this, I want to touch this. Now indexes first. While creating table, you can also create indexes on the table. But did I tell you that in a column store table, each column itself will act as an index? Yes or no? In a column store table, each column itself will act as an index. Right? Then why do you want to create index? Right? Now what SAP says is, let's say you have a column store table and you're trying to run more operational queries with more where class selectively reading less result set with more selections on it, then better to have index. You have an application table, you're trying to read less result set with more selections on it and more where class columns on top of it. So it does use a lot of CPU utilization, but result set is really less. So you have to use indexes in that case. Getting this brush? So even though you don't build, it's fine. But in a scenarios where you're using some select explicitly reading, the table is really huge. You're trying to read very small result set, but with where, how is that you're restricting a small result set with a lot of where class conditions on it? In that case, it does use indexes. So there is a note what SAP gives. There's a note what SAP gives on indexing. Look at this. In a column store, every column can be considered as an what? Index first. So most selects are suddenly fast without any additional indexing. But if you have some typical OLTP type selection, operational kind of selects, where you do highly selective where clause and you've been very specific on the records what you want. This field equal to this field equal to this field equal to this field, and where clause selections better. So which results small result set, and the runtimes and resource utilization on large tables are still not good enough. So you can use indexing in that case. And if you basically do indexing, this is search on a column without index. Okay, just tries to search for a column. Then it has to scan through all the rows and then find out which row it belongs to. But if you look at having index, you'll find the value city, and from the inverted index, this city corresponds to which all rows in it. So straight away you capture those rows and comes up. Index like what there, let's say you're searching for some value. It has scanned through the entire column values to find that city for you. But if you look at this way, once you know the city, if you have indexes, it does point out to the corresponding rows where my city has been used. So straight away go to those rows and fetch it up. Ante data huge undi, and you're trying to do select very very selectively on those records. And ఎక్కువ where class లో ఎక్కువ field selections పెట్టినాను అలాంటప్పుడు ఇండెక్స్ చేయి బాగా ఉంటుంది. So now how do I create my index? Can go table. Okay, so I'm just creating this table. Demo index, this is the table. So. So do you know how do you create index in SC11 on a table? The second index is, okay. So I already have primary. So obviously each column will have its own indexes. Let's say I would like to have a select where I'm running a where clause on department number, employee name, and department. Yeah? So I would like to build my own index on this table. So you go to index tab, okay. You can right click and say what? Edit. Say what? Add. So it does ask you what is the name of the index you want. And then what? See, there's something a full text index. We'll see that as a separate topic. So what is the index we are referring to? It is normal. What is it? Normal index. Okay. Now here, see, do you see the screen pretty much same like SC11? Yeah. If you select this, it becomes unique index. If you don't select, that becomes non-unique index. And I want index to be built on employee name, department number, and department name. But when you build index, it does improve performance, but obviously does it store more space again? It's like almost all doubling your size of that column again. So be careful. If it is really affecting your performance, make sure you build. Otherwise, really not necessarily. When you run this SQL, it does basically you'll have something called tracing of expensive statements in the configuration. There you'll find the queries really taking long time to run. You'll see some procedures running for 16 hours, 18 hours with HANA itself. And if you see that is failing, the performance is because of reading data from the tables, then you would focus more on this. Okay. Right click and say what? Alter table. Say create what is streamed executes? Create index so and so on this table and which columns it is. So I can also write the same thing with SQL and create my index. Yeah.
How many indexes you can create?
I'm coming. On a single table, you can create a number, but only thing is, but some indexing is improving performance, and just make sure it is always affecting your database space also, because it's almost doubling your space of the table. Now, so when you create index like this, like even in BW, how do you have bitmap and B-tree indexes? Here also, you can go about creating either B-tree or something called CPP tree and random types. Okay. Now, when I say B-tree, it is like normal binary tree. We might have two types of indexes which is built on the table. One is B-tree, binary tree, and one is CPB trees. Binary tree means you'll have a parent with two children. Right child is greater than the parent, and left child is less than the parent always. Say, let's say I would like to have some 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 to be sorted out. I will say 30, 20, right click here, left click here, away, see. 40, 50, 45, 20. Let's organize numbers like this. I have a parent like 30. It's got two children now, right child and left child. Right child is greater than the parent. And again, this will have two children again, 45 and 50. And 50 is right child and 45 is the left child. So 50 is greater than 40 and this is less than 40. So let's say you're trying to search for 45. When you get into this search, the first column, you find that 45 is greater than this. So obviously you come to this. Now can I say for each comparison, are you reducing half of you're nearing half of the probability to the database? That is B tree. Same, see, CPB tree is also same. It does store data like this, but only thing is, now you tell me this. A, B, C. Correct. Now tell me, are these two columns same or different? It will not difference. So if you can just compare only first four characters, can I find it out? Huh? Are they CPB tree? So it does not make an index on the entire value, only the prefixes. It just takes on the prefix values of the columns and then build index on top. That is CPB tree. Compressed prefix binary tree. It's like normal binary tree only. It just takes only the prefix of it, prefix of the column values, and build indexes on it. That is CPB. That's okay. See here, look at this point. When the column data types are string or binary decimal types, and when the constraint is a primary key or non-Unix, the default index type is what? CPB trees. When I say strings అంటే పెద్ద నార్మల్ varchar and varchar ఇవన్నీ. And in other cases it will be what? B tree. Apart from this data types, it will be what? B tree. If you don't specify anything, if neither is specified, system will choose what is the appropriate index to be created. When you're creating with SQL, you can control what kind of index you want. The system will decide which is a suitable index for it. But it's not like default B tree at level. So let's say I create this table now. The SQL now. We're looking at how do I create SQL. So I'm just creating some table. MP simple. So this is my normal table and there are no indexes on it yet. So I can say create index. So I'll say so I'll say
Unmuted. Muted.
now can you hear me? Hello? Hello? Okay. Okay. So I've got a table here. So I've got this table and I'm trying to create index on this table. So I'm saying create index name on what? On this table name and which column of it? This is the column. But here I've never specified whether it's going to be B tree or CPB tree. It chooses it out because this is varchar, so go CPB tree. And let's again I have one more table created. And let's say I would like to create unique. Explicitly I can say what type of index I want. So create, next keyword is whether unique. If you specify it as unique, it will be unique index. If you don't specify anything, it is non-unique index. It's like a toggle state. Yeah. Then what type of index you want? You can say B tree or CPB tree, what you want. Index, what is the index name on the table and the column. So you can explicitly control, I want it as unique or what type of index also with SQL. Yeah. Same thing. I can just specify only, not specify any type of index. I can just say only as unique index. And what type of index does it create now? B tree or CPB tree depends on the data types and system will propose a suitable or not. Okay. You can see index create, non-unique index. That's about creating indexes on a table also. So I think pretty much you should understand now columns, indexes, further properties and runtime information pretty much on it. Okay, now we'll get to the next database object is creating views. So now we've been focusing on table till now. Now we're getting into how do we create a database tree. Unique concept. Unique is what? It means a distinct values and non-unique is duplicate values are allowed. Yeah. So I would like to take one. I got schema called QX. Under the schema QX, I have a table called I got a table called STS dim customer. Yeah, with customer ID, city, country ID, region ID, company name, city name, country name, region name, and I've got some data onto this. I can see content from here or right click, open content, open preview, anything can be used here. So this is my data in it. So I see customer ID is like 1, 2, 3, so and so. And with the help of customer ID, can I know his name? Company name is nothing but my customer name and city, country, and region. Yes, from this table. Fact. And I have another table called fact customer order, which does hold the transaction data in it, where order ID, product ID, customer ID. This is like item level order data for a particular order. Who is the customer? And do I know the net sales and quantity from this? The sales table, order table where I can know the KPIs. Like it's a fact table where I would know the all the KP, net sales and quantities for a customer. And if I want to get the details of the customer, I should get it in this table. So I've got two tables. I need some data, but it is split across two tables. So I would like to create my database view and access the data together. It's like normal database view what you create in SC11. Normal view. This is not nothing to do with the HANA models. Okay.
So I have a question here. We have so much of data here, right? Data base and now when loading the data, but based on find history, say find history, so we will be able to partition.
Yeah.
If the country is a country.
Yes.
That was.
See, you have this now. So let's close this out. And I would like to join these two tables and create my database. Okay, boss. I would like to create my view in 5 cubics. There's a view folder, right? Here it is. These are not HANA model views like attribute R views. Normal database view. Yeah. Select this view, right click, and you get options. I can create my view with UI or with SQL. Both ways I can do. So new view. So now it asks you this the view names and say customer sales. That's my name of the view. Yeah. And this is the name of the schema where I'm creating this view. And in the canvas, you can go about specifying the tables, like it's like drag and drop. You can right click and say insert tables, or you can also use these insert table, insert joins, or whatever it is. I'll say insert table. I want it from what? This one table I want. This is the table I want to use. And basically, I would like to join these two on what? On customer ID. You can just select this customer ID. You can drag this customer ID and render it. Okay. And drag it to it. Customer. So it will drag and drop change. So could be a mistake on the link. Or you can straight away right click and see insert what? It will manually change, or you can drag and drop also. Insert join. From the fact customer order, which column I want? Customer ID. From this, which table I want to use? Dim customer. Say what customer. So table 1 dot customer ID is equal to table 2 dot customer ID. You can also use greater than, less than, anything if you want. Look at this expression. Table 1 fact customer dot customer ID is equal to table 2 dot customer ID. But did I control? Okay. We not specified any join type, right? Here, look at this. Now you get this join type. You have none, left, right, full. None and inner join. Where nothing is specified, by default, database view takes inner join. And if it is a left, means what? Left outer join. Right means what? Right outer join. Full means full outer. So inner join is what? Only the common values. Left outer join is what? Common plus unmatched values from the left operand. Right is what? Common plus unmatched values from the right operand. Full is complete, a set of A and set of B. It's all union. I'm okay with inner. So I would like to select something from this. From here I want, I would like to select company name, city name, country name, region name. From here I would like to have net sales, quantity, that's okay. That's enough. If you want, you can rename those. So these are the columns what you selected. You can rename those columns. You can say it's visible or not, sorting. You can specify. I'm okay with it. Just look at this statement. What it is creating. Click. What is the statement is you're choosing? Create view and name of the view as so and so select. Okay, boss. You can see that. There's a bug. No, save. This is my view. Right click and I can see the content or preview. This is my raw data, and does this help me to do analysis? In individuals gather, మనకు view correct ఉందో చూసుకునేదాన్ని. So region wise, I would like to do so, and I would like to do it on country also. Region and country level split. You can see table level, grid level, HTML, level, any type you can see. So this is my database view, and now I would like to see what was the definition used. See, can I also create my database view with? I can right click on this and say what. When I say open definition, it does not. You can go to this create statement. You can see what is the statement it is used in the backend to create. In the backend, what was the statement? View. This is my view name. Don't so as what, and it is written as select. Now, what do you have in the select here? So basically, say create view so and so as, and then start formatting a select which can return out the results for my view. Ante. Create view so and so as and చెప్పి రాయడం అంతే. So I would like to create the same thing with I'm writing with SQL in detail in the next class, but for now, just writing a small select on it. So I'll say what create view. Where do you want 5 cubex dot SQL view as, and you start listing out. Define the complete select. What do you want? Same. I just want to select the same column from different tables. Select what? I would like to select company name. Then what? Region name. City name. Then what you want? You want net sales. And then what? I'm more comfortable in writing this way. Next will be what? From what? You start missing the table names also. Okay. I want this table, and should I inner join? I would like inner join this with what? Okay, and I would like to go with alias name as T1 and what? T2. So company name should come from which table was? T2. What about region name? City name T2. Then so T1. So from this table 1, inner join the table 2 on. What is the join condition? T1 dot customer ID is equal to what? So this is actually the select. If I just run the select, invalid column name region. So this is actually the result of a select, and the result of the select is what I'm wrapping up with as views. Yeah. So let's create view so and so as this. Let me create. So once that is created, I should see now the view. SQL. Again, if you see open definition, you will see it as normal. Again, you will see a create statement in the back. So you can either go creating view with SQL, or with UI also. Okay. See, it's not about just using inner. If I want to have left out, what else? Left out, right out onto right out, full out onto full out. Bias kodum.
Muted.
For analytical view or calculation view, can I use this database views? No. No. In attribute views, you can only use column store tables. In analytical views, you can only use column store tables and attribute views. While creating calculation view, you can use column store tables, attribute views, analytical views, column views, and table user defined functions, but no database views. Even row store tables cannot come in directly. If you want to use row store tables, I should write a procedure which will have a select on the row store and include the procedure into calculation. So database views cannot be included into HANA models. Then what is the benefit of this? Then don't create. I'm not forcing you to create database view. I'm only just touching that there is a concept as database view. If required, you can still use it. See, it says then why do I need database view? That could be helpful in this case. Say for example, you're writing a very big select. Instead of writing a very big select, what you can do is you can modularize things. I'll build a view first, then perform a select on the view instead of doing select on the table directly. Can I do this? Procedure low, and basically what they do is no one would write a complex coding in a single program. They would like to modularize it always, and what are the logic they can modularize? They'll try to do with models, HANA calculation views, or it could be database view or calculation views or whatever it is. Then in the actual procedure, they start reading data from all these views and then combine it and send it out. So when I say line 1 read from view 1, line from read view 2, view 3, view 4, they run in parallel. So because by default HANA would execute them in parallel. If you want sequential, actually say sequential execution or someone. By default it goes with parallel mechanism. So like this, let's say I've got 5 tables. Instead of me writing complex logic again and again, what I can do, I can create a database view, and in most of the procedures, they can say select star from that view. For reusability kind of stuff, I can say I have 5 tables, and you're trying to do a join on those tables. Always, you will be writing a 6 or 10 lines of code. Instead of doing that, I'll create database view, and I give this database view to everyone, and everyone will start writing a select on this one directly. Okay, that also could be a probability of using it. That's, but it's virtual. Okay, but next we have got synonyms. There's one more. are the HANA live views are simple database views or they are information model. You're saying there's something called HANA live, which we call it as virtual data model. HANA live ready-made views, ready-made HANA models are delivered by SAP. All those are information. In fact, all those are calculation views. There's no analytical view also given. Every HANA live view itself is a calculation. No, not they are not database views. They are HANA information models. Okay. Synonyms. Okay. Next. So you see, there's some synonyms here. You can understand this like alias name for a table, alias name for a database object. For example, I have a table with name say employees, but I would like to rename that with say EMP. I would like to create a shortcut to the table with another name as EMP. That is what we refer to as synonyms, like alias. So we go with synonym here. You don't get. I'll explain this. I'll tell you. So see synonyms. There's no point in creating synonym with the UI bus. It has to go with SQL. So select this. Let's say I have a table with this naming. So I have a table called department. I would like to give an alias name as DEPT as my table. Yeah? So also create synonym spelling SYNONYM synonym. Create synonym 5 cubics dot. You wanted a synonym name as what? DPT for what? So I can also create synonym for database view. I can create synonym for procedure. I can create synonym for table also. It's like just giving an alias name for this. So I just use normal create synonym, right? So this is like you see it like a shortcut. Yeah? Now when I try right click on this and say open content, it is actually showing me content of what? Department, for example. Department definition and then integer. So I'm inserting data into what first? HR, right? First we will insert JLA, right? So I insert data into department. So if I try to see the content of this synonym, it is reading data from the main table. And it's like almost like virtual. So your synonym is virtual. It's like a renaming of a table or giving an alias name for the table. We can provide alias name for table, procedure, anything. For example, you can also see the definition of it. So open definition, I can see. Synonym name is so and so, schema name for what? For this table. And there's something called public also. There's something called public. When I say public, you can say just same way I will say. So public in the suppose I created a synonym bus, DEPT. Who will have access to this? This DEPT is in which schema bus? 5 cubics. Only users who has got access to the schema 5 cubics will be able to access this scheme. Will be able to access the synonyms. Unlike other, let's say I have some table which everyone should be able to access, irrespective of whether they have access to schema or not. Everyone should be able to see that particular synonyms. Then I will say public synonym. In that case, I don't specify anything. PUB public and PUB. For this table. So that when I said public, I don't specify any schema name at all. Yeah. Hmm. So when you create public synonym, it is not in any of the schema. If you go to the top, there is a folder. What is here? It does not belong to any of the schema. Anyone who is able to log into the system will be able to access that schema. Let me filter out for my public. So okay. So a person who's able to log into HANA system can see this, irrespective of whether he's got access to 5 cubics or not. That is what public synonym is. If you see this definition, you just see this checkbox enabled public. Yeah. That's like synonym. Now the question is, what is the why do I need to create synonyms? Okay. Pretty much major requirement would be this. So do you know about currency conversion in BW? So does it, or in SAP, does it use some specific standard tables for currency conversions? Tker, Tker-X, Tker-F? Yeah. So is a naming the programs in the system is already predefined that they would always refer the exchange rates from Tker table only, or factors from Tker-F only. Because that is fixed programming. Same way, even in HANA, it is already fixed that it would always leverage the exchange rates from Tker-X table with the name as what? Tker-X, table with the name as Tker-F, Tker and fixed annattu. And for unit conversions, it always leverages table as what? TWR6. Same on SAP system, HANA system, currency conversion, it does leverage the same set of tables for currency conversion or same set of tables for unit conversion like TWR6, Tker, Tker-X, Tker-F, all this. But let's say I have my HANA database. I have done the replications from a non-SAP system. So let's say from Oracle, I've brought my data into HANA database. Let's say, can I expect that Oracle system also would maintain exchange rates in a table called Tker-X only, or Tker or Tker-X, Tker-F? It could be a different name. Let's say I replicate those tables, and it does bring in the table name as exchange rates, currency factors, and it does got table name like that, exchange rates, currency factors, and but when I do currency conversion in my HANA database in your models, it does refer to the tables with the naming as Tker, Tker-F, Tker-X. Then how? Let's say I have a schema where I replicate all my data from Oracle database, but the schema has got tables with the naming as what? Exchange rates, wherever peril. If my HANA has to do currency conversion, it does have to. It needs tables with this naming Tker, Tker-X, Tker-F. It does expect that. So to solve this case, can I do like say, can I create a synonym saying create synonym Tker for exchange rates, create synonym Tker-F for currency factors? Can I create alias names? Then when my engine does the currency conversion, it does refer to the synonyms of this naming with the naming as Tker, Tker-X, and then it can utilize. If you want to see something, because I have a schema called SAP HANA demo here, and if I go to the tables, I have the tables for currency conversion here. So I've got, what is table name? No, last word is Mukta tables. SAP.HANA.demo content.epm.data::colon epm.conversions.page levels. This is the name of the table. This is actually the name of the table. Look at this. This is the complete table name. But when I do a unit conversion in my HANA system, it would expect my table. It would, if I say do unit conversion by referring to the tables of this schema. In this schema, it tries to search for a table with the naming as what? T006. But my table name is different. In that case, what I will do, I'll create a synonym saying, look at this one. T006 is defined for this table. When I do current unit conversion by referring to this schema, it obviously recognizes T6, which is in turn referring to a different. It's like a shortcut or alias name for the tables. That could be the major scenario looking out for synonyms.
I mean, for example, I have already a node, so we are moving to HANA. Does it give any impact on the business process side?
See, from Oracle you're bringing into HANA. Why do you want to bring it?
Okay, that is the business decision. application is for move, for example,
Definitely. See, if they want to move it, there will be some specific reason. Let's say, what are the data they had in Oracle, they are not able to get the good performance on the reporting, and there will be some basic purpose why they are moving it. So if it is, let's say, performance issue, they want to move the data and then do reporting on it. Let's say once they move it, they'll build HANA information models on top of it, expose it for reporting.
But it doesn't give any impact on the business side of the process operations.
So obviously, if you look at the entire system landscape, you would have a new system coming in, and you would have extra burden of data pushing from Oracle to HANA. Obviously, you'll have new set of jobs to run in, which will start replicating from Oracle to HANA, right? Obviously. Right. Business process effect ఉండకపోవచ్చు. If you're just moving same, కానీ నా క్వశ్చన్ ఏముంటుందంటే సిస్టమ్ మెయింటెనెన్స్ ల్యాండ్స్కేప్ లో ఆబ్వియస్ గా చేంజ్ వస్తుంది. ఇంకో కొత్త HANA డేటాబేస్ వస్తుంది. Apart from existing complete batch cycle, you would have next set of batch cycle which has to push data from Oracle to HANA, obviously. Business లో వాట్ చేంజ్ చేసుకుంటాడో లేదా అది డిపెండ్స్ ఆన్ కేస్ బై కేస్. మనం ఇక్కడ నుంచి మాట్లాడలేము. వాడన్నాడు అనుకో, నా సేల్స్ డేటా అంతా తీసుకెళ్ళి నేను HANAలోకి వెళ్ళిపోయి అక్కడ నుంచి ఆఫర్స్ ఇస్తాను, సేల్స్ డేటా తీసుకెళ్ళిపోయి ఆ కస్టమర్ డేటా అంతా అనలైజ్ చేసి అక్కడ నుంచి ఏ కస్టమర్కి ఏ ఆఫర్ ఇవ్వాలో నేను డిసైడ్ చేస్తాను అనుకో. సో డెఫినెట్లీ దేర్ ఇస్ చేంజ్ ద బిజినెస్ ప్రాసెస్.
I'm only referring to currencies.
Currencies. Okay. That's about creating synonyms, was yeah. Okay. Okay. There's something like we also see you don't create index. You can also do altering of indexes. And altering of index is not about changing the definition. Rebuilding, refreshing indexes. That's it. Simple. Just say alter index, index name, and then say rebuild. There's nothing much on it. When it's a rebuild, it does rebuild those indexes, like refreshing indexes on the database. You have received these documents already, right? Yesterday I sent you. Okay, was next. Yeah, okay. Next, let's focus on database triggers. Database triggers, we call it as triggers. Trigger and very simple. Let's say I have a database table, and this same kind of concept is used by SL tables. Same kind of concept is used by SLT also. Now what they're trying to do, look at this. Let's say you got database table. There are database table, and every operation you do on the database table, I would like to do some follow-up action on it. Let's say I got table 1. You do some insert on this table. I would like to do some follow-up. For every insert on this table, do this. Or for every delete on this table, do this. For every update on this table, do this. That is called as triggers. So when you want to perform some follow-up action on every operation on a database table, we call this trigger. Got this point? SLT does use the same. What? Let's say you have EC system, you have HANA systems, and through in middleware you're leveraging SLT server. SLT is a separate dedicated server. You're leveraging it to bring real-time data from, let's say, ECC table to HANA database. Let's say in ECC I've got a table called VBAC. Table. When you do install replication, let's say there are 100 records, all 100 records from VBAC table will be pushed into HANA database. Then once, it's not about just pushing all the 100 records. Once it pushes it, it does create something called trigger and log table in ECC. It will create a trigger on the table and a log table. Now what is it? Now from then on, every transaction you do, let's say you're creating a new record in this table, or you update some record in the table, or you delete some record in the table in ECC, if trigger is fired out and maintains a log in the log table. Say you insert a new record in the table, your trigger is fired out and maintains an entry saying there is a new record created. Okay, let's say you update some record and trigger is fired out and maintains an entry in the log saying there's one record has been modified. Let's say you delete some record, a trigger is fired out and say this record has been deleted. In the log table, it only maintains a primary key value only. So once you know the primary key, can I recognize which document is deleted or which document is inserted, which document is or which record is updated? Log table lo palana record that only primary key value. It only holds the primary key value. With that, can I recognize which record has been added or modified or updated? So by looking at the log table, it identifies which are modified and then picks those change record and then takes it to HANA database. That's how it handles Delta HANA. Getting this? So that is where they leverage triggers. Generally, system programming there all వాడతారు జనరల్గా. అర్థమైందండి? అంటే ఇది పుష్ పుల్ మెకానిజం అన్న. పుల్ అంటే మనం ఎక్కుతాం, ఎస్ అంటే అదే ట్రిగ్గర్ ద్వారా అదే దొబ్బుతా అంటున్నాం. దట్ ఈస్ పుషింగ్. ఓకే, సో ఇన్ దట్ ఈస్ అ కేస్ వి యూస్ మోర్ ఆఫ్ ట్రిగ్గర్స్. అంటే ఒక టేబుల్ ఉంది, ఆ టేబుల్ మీద పలానా యాక్షన్ జరిగినప్పుడు నాకు ఫాలో అప్ యాక్షన్స్ జరగాలి, ఈవెంట్ బేస్డ్ ట్రిగ్గరింగ్ జరగాలి. దట్ ఈస్ వేర్ we focus on triggers. Say what I'm trying to do is see, on one table maximum number of triggers is only 1024 triggers. So just to demonstrate you on the triggering, what I'm trying to do is I'm just creating some table and I'm going to create a trigger on the table saying for every insert on this table, it should maintain a log in another table saying who created this and what time it was created. I'm just trying to create one new table which will have all the data into it, and I will have a trigger on this table. The trigger, what does it do? This trigger will be fired out for after every insert on this table. And the table insert is a ప్రతి రికార్డ్ ఇది ట్రిగ్గర్ అవుతుంది. ట్రిగ్గర్ ఏం చేస్తుందంటే it has to update another table saying which user and what date and time it was updated. That's it. So trigger is almost like writing your procedures or something. It will be like that. Yeah? So it can be done only with SQL. So I'm just creating two tables now. Look at this. I'm just creating a table like which I'm referring it as what? Audit table with two columns, username and timing, where both username and timing are primary composite. Okay? Then I've got one more table called EMP trigger with employee ID and name. So my focus is I would like to create a trigger on this table, and every time I insert a data into this table, it should update this table saying who created it and what time it was created. That's enough focus. Okay. So both the tables are created. One is execute చేయలేదు, right? So we have the audit table created with two columns, username and what? Timing, and and I have another table EMP trigger, employee and employee. Okay. So both the tables are ready. Now I would like to define a trigger on which table? Employee trigger. And you want the trigger for what? You want a trigger on which table? EMP trigger. And when do you want the trigger to be fired out? For every insert I want. For each row of insert I want it to be executed. So I would write this. So this is it. No voice.
Unmuted. Muted.
So what I'd say, create trigger. What is the name of the trigger you want? I just want to see, when you want to see, create statement is for everything. Create table, create view, create synonym, create trigger, create procedure. And create statement is for creating a new database objects. Alter is for altering. We'll have. We can control that exceptions also. Create trigger. Okay. Create trigger, trigger name. And when do you want this event of the trigger? When do you want this event to be triggered? After insert on this table for each row. Means I want this to syntax you can find always fine, but the concept of trigger is important. Don't worry. And then you'll have begin and end. Within the begin and end, you're going to write your logic. And what are the logic you write within this block, begin and end, will get executed for every insert on the table because of this trigger. And SLT would create these triggers automatically. So that coding when you do a button like that, you would return a system C program something which will create the trigger like that on the table. Now what is it I want to do with the now what is it you want to do when you do this? It just has to insert some data, current user, and I have some function in SQL which gives me current user who is logged in. So current user is a ready-made queue like my side item then good. Current underscore user is a ready-made system variable which gives you current user, and current underscore timestamp is a ready-made variable which gives you current timestamp. So I'm going to create a trigger so after every insert on each row, I want to execute this. So I'm going to create this trigger. If you have the trigger created, go to triggers. Don't worry on this. This is automatic trigger. This is my own trigger. Open definition. You can see the definition of the trigger. Okay. Now if you need to see that effect now, if I go to my tables, will you find anything in the audit table now? No, right? If I insert data to this table, then the audit table gets the entries into it. I insert you put na. Suppose let me insert this 4 records. 4 time inserts and automatically my audit table should have 4 entries. Insert I'm inserting on a different table. I have this EMP trigger, the data is already there, I would like delete it. Delete all this. Inserted this, now I should find the entries. Timestamp and because it's all about system user, and then like this you can also have triggers utilized when you want to perform some follow-up event-based actions like this. It's not only for insert. After every delete or every update, also you can run. And on one table, I can have multiple triggers also. I can have one trigger for insert, one trigger for delete, one trigger for updates. The visual other comments, they're like descriptions on your table. So I'm creating this table. It's not so much important. Okay. So I've created this table EMP comments. I've got this EMP comments, but I never specified any description. Comment is nothing but the description. So I would like to add my description to those stuff. So then we use a SQL statement as comment. Comment on is a SQL statement where you can add the descriptions to the existing columns. So I would like to comment on this table, EMP comments. I can provide description for the table also. So even for the columns, see, I'm saying comment on, not table here. This time is what? column, comment on the column, which column is schema.table.column is employee number, and for EMP name, employee name. So I can just provide the descriptions for this by using comment on. You want to have comment on table or you want to comment on the description? So you get to see the descriptions of it. Like this, we can add comments also. Then there's something called sequence. It's like number range buffer. In SAP, do you have number range buffer? Like say when the document number range is from 1 lakh to 2 lakhs and keep generating a new document number with the next sequential number. Or for a number range SID, same thing. If you want to have a sequence like this, say I have a range of numbers and I want my system to generate a next sequential number every time, then use what? Sequence.next val and just some. So you can just look at this. So you can create sequence with UI or SQL also. These are your sequences here. Right click and say what? What is it? The concept and topic is don't have to worry much. New sequence and sequence name. Billing doc number something. Let's say I want to have a billing document number range. Schema is 5 and I want it to start with 1. And for every new number it has to increment by what? 1 on the 2 next entries should be increment by 1. So minimum it is 1 and max it has to go till 100. And I'll say you want to reset that query. When you want to say reset that query, and say now they start with 1 and you max is 100. Let's say you have used the sequence for 5 to 6 times. So what is the current status now? 6 and so what will be next number generated was 7. Suppose if your server is down and if you restart the server, again it reset to 1. Okay. So if you want reset query, if you say reset, if you want reset query, then what happens? It will again reset to 1. If not, it will just take the max value and then plus 1 it takes. We can. అందుకే దానికి కాకుండా reset by we will write a select statement like this, select max of that. Here I cannot write that select in the UI. But SQL I can say reset. What should be, when you restart the server, what should be my sequence number? Tell me. It is already start with 6, and what should be my status again? Max of it. So I'll say select max of some billing document number in the table, and that should be my status. After reset this. And when I say cycle, then what happens? Once it finishes 100, again it should start up the cycle again from 100. I want to recycle the same, then I'll say cycle. Okay, Nanda? You can select and dial in. I can't write. I'll finish. And again, a table level. See, is writing like select max of and then this. Say employee has already been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. When I say max of employee, you give 6. So my sequence number status will be reset to what? 6. You can basically specify a select statement here, which will return that number. A number return this, our number will be set as a status for sequence. When you restart the server, actually, not normal. And when it says cycle, once it finishes 100, again it starts with 1 again. Just sequence. So it does use a state create. Create the table sequence of view in the create sequence and so to sequence and increment by 1, start with 1, minimum value 1, max value. So how do I want to test this sequence out here? Sequence will render functions. You need to know 2 things. Select. Let's say I have a sequence number. This is my sequence number. Yeah. Dot next value. You'll have a function called next value. I don't have every table. I'll just say dummy. When you're not doing select daily from any of the database table, I can use dummy. So I'll say next value. What is the number? 1, and I would say next. Next well, you'll increment it to you for the next sequence number and gives it to you. And what your increment till which number was? 8. Okay, good. And there's one more function called curval. What is curval? Current value. Your current value 8. Malli 8 undi. Next value kotta penchistundi. Current value present. What is my status? I wouldn't know. That's okay. So you can use either of these two functions, next val and curval with the sequence. Say, for example, I have some table and you're trying to insert some records into the table, but my source is not supplying any primary key. In that case, I can leverage sequential number and say, keep using that and insert some unique incremental number to that, unique ID something. I'll demonstrate that, but complete syntax, you can just look at this here. So I'm just creating a new sequence with complete properties. Create sequence, and you want the sequence in what? The schema, the sequence name is billing dot numbers, and start with 1, increment by 1, minimum value 1, max value 100. Cycle, when I say cycle, you want to cycle it out. No cycle ante cycle undu. And cache, so you want to generate some sequential number. I want to hold next 5 numbers in the cache so that it will be easy, it will be quicker to generate those numbers. And I want to reset my, when I say reset means what? When you switch on the server, reset the server, I would like to set the status back to what? I'm going to have some table. Our table max column ఏదుందో ఆ value set కావాలి. Okay. So I want to use this now. See what I'm doing? I've created a sequence, okay? Yeah. I'm creating one table only with names here. Only column with column called names. So what table this one? So what table with EMP names, just the names. And I would like to insert data into another table where other table needs employee ID and name, but name is from this table, but ID should be generated from the sequence number. So that's a simple one. So I'm creating this table. I'm creating a new table with what? With employee ID and what? Name. And name should be filled, and now I would like to insert data to this table. So can I insert with some subquery? Means the result of a subquery can also insert data into a table. Yeah? So try this. It's 5 cubics. You understand that? We'll see anyway insert, but I can insert data into the table using values keyword or through subselect also. This is a select statement which is giving me results, and I want this select results to get into this table. So select the sequence number dot what? Next val, comma, and what? EMP names from a different table. So I'm referring the name from that and the sequential incremental number from the sequence number and inserting into employee IDs. Employee ID in the name. Okay, and if I run again, will it again insert? Will it get an error or will it insert? It will insert, because why? For every new record, it is bringing next val, so it can insert any number of times. But the namings would be same, but it keep giving an incremental number. That's like a sequence. Okay. Yeah. Previous. I'll stop now completely. And there's something like altering this sequence. So let's say you already have a sequence. I would like to change this sequence definition. I can use alter sequence first. So what is this? Now let me see. What is the next value? Is 13, 14. Now the status is 17, right? Now I would like to reset that to some say 6. So I'm just changing this property called 6, but again, this way can I change any other properties first? Like increment value, max value, I can always change also. Alter sequence, sequence name, restart or max value or whatever it is parameter, you can change it. So now if that is 6, what should be my next value? Okay, that's fine. Like this, we can reset the sequence status also by using alter. Then we'll have something called drop statement. In SQL, you'll have drop. Drop is about create is about creating objects. Alter is about altering the database objects, and drop is about deleting that objects. Now look at this. So, for example, I would like to drop this table out. I'll right click on this table and say what? Delete. This is see delete all rows and table. Table rows both. That is deleting. I would like delete catalog object, the table itself I would like to delete. And when I'm deleting table, I have two options, cascade, restrict. If I say restrict, if this object has got any dependency on, if other objects are really using this, then this not get deleted. Irrespective of whether dependency is there or not, I would like to delete this object. Then I will say cascade. Dependency unte delete cheyaddu ante restrict. సంబంధం లేదు డిపెండెన్స్ అంటే క్యాస్కేడ్. నాకు క్యాస్కేడ్ కల్లా ఇన్వాలిడ్ టేబుల్ ఇది ఒక తేడా ఉందా సార్? విల్ డిలీట్ సమ్ అదర్ టేబుల్. డిలీట్ దిస్ క్యాస్కేడ్ అంతే. EMP కామెంట్స్ వెళ్ళిపోయింది. Or I can also drop like this. I can say drop. What do you want to drop? You can drop table, procedure, sequence, view, any database object. So if you want to drop view, I'll say what? Drop view. Which one is it?